how to affix a planer board. So we have loaner planer boards to loan out and the rods with the line counters. So if you need this gear for this class, let me know so I bring something for you to use. So this is a planer board, and we know this goes on the starboard side because it's right. This is angled, so it's going to pull the board away from the boat. If you put it on this side, it would be backwards. So I'm not going to talk about the tattle flag feature because I don't want to overwhelm you. So we're just going to ignore that. So on these boards, there's these clips are called releases. There's different kinds. This is a Sam's Pro release. This is a Snap one. These yellow ones are OR16s, and then these orange ones they're all different clips. So I'm setting up the loaner boards with an orange clip here and a red clip here. So what this does is you can open these, and there's a little spring inside of these. See this little spring? This is further forward, so this one is super hard to open. And I have old arthritic hands, so it's really difficult for me. So I'm going to take this spring and just slide this back to the back. Now it's much easier to open.
Shout out to Carol for teaching us that.
Yeah, I just kind of swore about them for all that time. So now it's easier to open. Now this orange one is designed for the line to come out. Now let me have you picture this. I picked up so this is pulling the board away. So the first thing we're going to do when we hook it on at the end is we're just going to put the line through there. And then if a fish hits it, it pulls it out of there. And what that does is the board then hangs on the rod like this, and it no longer pulls away to the side. So when it will now drift to the back of the boat, and you can reel the fish in straight up the back of the boat. Now this OR16 clip has a pin in the middle of it. And when you put the line in this one, you have to make sure that the line is behind that pin. Because this one you don't want to come loose because you want to be able to keep the board on the line, or the board it comes off and it's floating around in Green Bay. So if you have your own boards, make sure, this is a brand new one that I just got, but you have your name and your phone number on them like this, because if someone finds one floating, 9 out of 10 times they're going to call you up and say, hey, I found a planer board, did you lose one? I've gotten one a month later up from Sheboygan all the way up in Two Rivers, and then they just dropped it off at the bait shop next time they went to Sheboygan. So you'll get them back if you put your name on them. So we have like Wisconsin Women Fish loaner boards. Still my name on them. So that's how you do it. And it takes a little bit of practice. You need some reps, opening them, sticking the line in there, making sure it's on the right side. So this is how we're going to be practicing. Now, one of the things we try to do with the boat pairings is we don't want 3 people in a boat together and none of them have ever done this before, because it's hard enough to remember everything. You know, we like to kind of mix up the pairings, so at least if you have never done this before in your life, someone else is in that boat that has. You know, and that's why we talk about pairings, and we talk about who we're going to put with who, because we want everyone to be successful, and we don't want, you know, a giant boat just that are having clusters, because it's just too much information to absorb at one time. So if you end up losing a board, reel everything back up and go and pick it up with the net. You don't just say, oh well, you know, these aren't cheap. And let us know what you need for rods. We have extra rods. We have extra planer boards. We don't have a lot of extra baits because you can buy your own baits. These baits you can cast. You just don't have to troll with them. But that's like kind of beginning planer board fishing. These releases, I used to use these, but the problem with these is they don't release. So now if you get a fish on the outside, you have to get that fish on the board that's still fighting against you in with a fish on it, but you have two other boards in front of it. And there's a trick to that. You got to drop those first two back, and that's kind of more advanced. So it's easier if it releases and it just goes to the back, goes around those and comes back. This one is a Sam's Pro Release. This is kind of what we were using for salmon fishing, yet a little bit more complicated. You wrap the line around there and then close it, and then with the force of the fish, it opens, and there's a little adjustment screw here on. But generally, these are for a little bit bigger fish and for braided line. So some of them have them on. We're going to try to give all the new people the ones with the orange clips. And I have a variety of these clips and repair parts. If you have boards and you don't have the clips you want, just let me know what you want, and I will help you out. Now, for the stern planer board, in the one bottle that you should be bringing is this green color Mountain Dew bottle. It doesn't matter if it's 16 or 20 ounce. This one's a 20 ounce. It's a little bit easier to see. And then we're going to, you just take a piece of line like this in one of these clips that has the pin in it, the OR16. And on this stern planer board, if you want your bait to go certain length down, you know how many feet that line counter has to go on, and then you clip this right on the line at that point. You can send this way back. This is fun. This is, I call this, I have a little ugly stick here I got for $5 at clearance on Walmart, and I call it Stubby because it's little. So I always use that for stuff like this, just for fun. And you would be surprised how much that stern planer board goes. Because, a lot of times the boat spooks fish. They go out to the side. Then they're seeing these other baits, and maybe they're spooked or they don't like it. But then this other last one starts coming along through after all the commotion is passed. And a lot of times they hit that, and that's super fun. So, technically a really long rod would work better there. I just have this weird emotional attachment to Stubby. So that will close out this section, and we'll see what's next on the list. Waypoints, I already covered that. And so our remaining topics are jigging and being a good boatmate. Ricky's going to talk about those, and we're going to do those tomorrow when we can be outside in the daylight and actually show you some jigging cadences and the baits that we're going to be using for that. Thank you, and feel free to refer to these later on.